How's it going, everyone? I thought I'd just jump on and do a bit of a backtesting session of a brand new fresh strategy that I'm looking at the moment. So what I'll do first of all is I will essentially just jump onto the charts and sort of explain kind of what I'm looking at. It's going to be very, very basic to begin with, like any strategy that I look at and any strategy that I develop. And then I will look at the results over time and over sort of the amount that I backtest, and then I will look to see if I can refine them and make the strategy better and give obviously sort of better results. So I'll jump onto the charts here and just sort of explain the basic rules of the strategy at the moment. So what we've got right is we've got price sort of moving like this, and this is sort of a trending market, and this is kind of what we're getting to, or what we're looking to get involved in. What we've also got is we've got our new day anchored VWAP. And then what we're essentially looking at is we're looking to get involved on a fair value gap, target here, well, entry here, and then we're going to put our stop loss wherever it makes sense. So this could be below a swing low, it could be below the VWAP, it could be below the fair value gap candle. It all depends on price action, on how sort of impulsive it is, how price action is moving at that given moment. And then we're looking to target 2R, and then we're looking to go break even at 1R. So very, very simple rules, very simple stuff, and this is kind of what I'm just going to look at to begin with. We're going to be trading the German DAX on the 15-minute time frame, and we will start in January of 2025. And if you guys enjoy this, obviously this video will be very, very long most likely. And if you guys enjoy this, we can continue backtesting this together to see if this strategy essentially works over time. If not, we can go back to the drawing board, we can add in some different rules, we can look at something totally different, and we can sort of try to develop a strategy together here on YouTube for anyone to use that wishes to use it. Maybe you're a beginner, maybe you want to use a strategy that's very, very simple, which is sort of geared towards prop firms. And with prop firms, you don't need to trade sort of a very complicated strategy, because with a prop firm, it's not like trading a personal account. You've got profit targets, and then once you hit them profit targets, the account does then reset. So for example, if we've got an 8% profit target for phase 1, a 5% for phase 2, and then you're onto the funded stage, once you hit the 8%, you get a brand new account, or you get the account reset. Once you hit the 5% on the phase 2, you then obviously reset back to 0, and then once you get the funded account, you can just hit your profit target, whatever you want to hit. So this could be a 2 to 3%. Once you hit that 3%, it goes back to 0, and then essentially it's not like a personal account where if you hit drawdown, you will then start having to try and claw out of that. So essentially this is the strategy. Again, just to recap, 15-minute time frame, we will look for impulses and fair value gaps during session. We're looking to basically get involved within the initial sort of volatility within the market, and looking to catch and ride the wave to the upside and sort of catch a little bit of the daily candle while it's printing. So again, 15-minute time frame, price here above the daily VWAP, fair value gap, entry, break even at 1R, take profit at 2R, and that's basically the strategy at the moment and kind of what we're looking to sort of trade. Starting off now, let's try and get through this as quickly as possible. I'll try and backtest sort of around a month, depending on how long the video is, because I can tell you now this video is going to be well long, but we'll go through it anyway. So what you need to do is you need to get the VWAP, which is over here, right? So click on this, go down to anchored VWAP, just favorite this so it's on your favorites bar down here, and then we can simply click on it and then apply it to our new day. So the opening is right here at 11 PM UK time, and then we can then play price forward to around 7 AM in the morning. If you're in a different time zone, you'll have to work that out yourself, but essentially I will play price forward over to around here, and then we will look kind of where we're at. So at the moment there's no sort of impulse during market open for me. We've then got we're above the VWAP at the minute, so we're looking primarily for longs. There's not really anything here to get involved in, and playing price forward, we've had an impulse now. We are above the daily VWAP, so what you notice is that we've broken above the VWAP right here. So we're being above, we've broken below, and now we've broken back up again, and now we're above the VWAP. We've got a nice fair value gap here. We've got some volume within the market, and essentially it's not right. So with that right, that I didn't take that trade just for the simple fact is it's not in my session. So we've reacted to this fair value gap, and then we've created another fair value gap during session. So this one I'm definitely interested in, and we're also above the VWAP. So we broke above it, we've came down, and then we've stayed above it. So I'm happy to look to get involved in this. Stop loss above this swing, below this swing low, and then I will look to target a 2%. So place this trade, place a limit, and I'm using FX Replay to backtest this. Just for the simple fact is it does gather all the stats itself, and it saves me putting it into sort of an Excel spreadsheet. So if you want to take a look at this, there will be a link in the description, and then you can backtest along with me as well and just sort of see how we get on. So this right here would have hit 1R, so I would move my stop loss to break even. And this trade here has gone on and hit take profit for a +2, which is absolutely fine. Brilliant trade to begin the month on the 2nd of January. Playing price forward now to the next day to around 7 AM. Remove this VWAP, and then we can add our new day one. So we are below. We've got a fair value gap here, and we can try and enter a trade here. In this sense, because this high is so high up and it's well far away, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my stop loss above this candle, because if we put our stop loss up here, we will need to sort of put our take profit all the way down here at 2%. So what we can do is try and trim our stop loss a bit. We can put it above this candle, and also what you will notice is that it's above the VWAP. So essentially what will happen a lot of the time when, you know, price is going in one direction is that the VWAP will come down here, right? Price will then come back up, tag the VWAP, and then just continue. So for me, the stop loss above this candle and above the VWAP, this for me is a safe place to put my stop loss and to see if price does continue moving to the downside. So I will enter this trade, look for a 2-to-1, place the order, and then we will look to get involved. So we're now tagged in, we're tagging the VWAP, we've broke above the VWAP, price has reacted and it's coming down, so we can't go break even yet. So we can now go break even on this trade. Very, very nice. Came to nearly take profit. And then, oh God. Right, so we've come back up now and we've been taken out of this trade for break even. That's very, very unfortunate because price did come all the way down here to sort of nearly take profit. Now, you know, I don't want to really promote sort of closing a trade early, but if your trade comes all the way down here, right, to near your take profit, you may want to look to close this, especially if you're on a funded account, and if this trade would lock you in a payout, you know, sometimes you might just want to close this because, you know what, it's a couple of pips, a couple of ticks away from take profit. So yeah, it's all down to discretion. If you want to close that, that's absolutely fine. It's pretty much a take profit there, and then you can go from there and on to the next. So I've just added my new day VWAP here now. As we can see, we're above this. And we are now sort of in session. But this right here, right? So you don't want to get confused because we've got a fair value gap here, but we are above the VWAP. So if we're above the VWAP, we're looking for longs. If we're below, we're looking for shorts. And we've had a bearish fair value gap here. So essentially what we would look for usually is a tag into here and a continue to the downside, but this is invalid because we are above the, you know, the new day VWAP here. So don't get confused when it comes to stuff like that. That trade is invalid. If we get a trade later on in the session which is valid, we can look at that. So now you can look for shorts because we've broken below fair value gap here. As we can see, we are below the new day VWAP. We can look to enter here, and again what I'm going to do is just put my stop loss above this candle and then look to target 2R. If you want to put your stop loss above this swing high, that's fine. If you want to put your stop loss above this swing high, that's fine. But for me, my stop loss is above the VWAP, and it's also above this candle here, which created the fair value gap. So for me, this stop loss is safe in my opinion. We're tagged in, and then we're tagged straight out. So even if our stop loss was above here, we'd have been tagged out. And let's just press forward a bit. Yeah, even if our stop loss was above this high, we'd have also still been tagged out. So moving on to the next day, we've taken a loss. For me, if I take a loss, I'm moving on to the next. If I take a win, I'm moving on to the next. If I take a break even, I may look at a second opportunity during New York. If I take a break even in London, for example. But that's entirely down to you, and they're rules that you can look at yourself, and you know, your risk tolerance if you want to get involved in another trade. So we're above, we've got a fair value gap here. And then again, stop below the VWAP and this candle that created a fair value gap, looking to target the new day, yesterday's previous daily high, sorry, and place the order. Can we get involved in this? Can we get tagged? So we're tagged in. This is an aggressive bearish candle. We've retested the VWAP and had a nice move away. And as this hit our 1 hour rule of a break even, so just about. So if you want to go break even on this, you can go break even, and then you can target sort of up here. Come very close to take profit. Don't reverse on us like the last one did, and take profit has been hit. So that's a very nice trade there. As you can see, this trade in particular has been very, very fast. Tagged into our fair value gap, retested our VWAP, and then moved away quite nice. So we are currently sitting at 3%. You know, one more trade at a 1-to-2 or a 1-to-1, we could be passing our phase 1 of a funding challenge. So on to the next day here, we fast forward to around 7 AM and remove the previous day VWAP and also apply our new one. So again, very nice impulsive price action here. We've got our fair value gap. We're above the VWAP, so we're looking for longs. And then we can go for a 1-to-2. With this trade here, right, this stop loss is quite big, and we are very close to the previous day's high. So what I'm cautious of, and something that you might want to look at if you want to add a little bit of discretion, is if sort of, with it being quite far away from getting tagging us in, right, what might happen is that we might continue up, we might tag the previous day's high, and then price might just come all the way back down and take us out of this for a stop loss. So if you want to get involved in this mechanically, this essentially is valid, but that's something to look at if you want to add discretion and if you've got a little bit more sort of experience within the markets. What I'm looking at now is this going to continue up without tagging us in, take out the previous day's high, and then essentially just come back and sort of take us out? So come back down, tag us in, maybe get a little reaction or something, and then come back down and take us out. And that's kind of what I'm thinking of right now due to my experience and intuition within the markets. But essentially it's valid, so we'll place the order and we will look to get involved and kind of see what happens. So we've moved away, right? And again, this is just adding to my thoughts before, and it's not looking too good. Are we out of session? So we are out of session now, and I'm going to remove this order, and then I'll come back in New York and kind of see if there is anything else to get involved. So we're in sort of session now. We're below the VWAP, and there's nothing really going on here. Out of session, and moving on to the next day. So move on to around 7 AM. Remove this, and then add the new one. But this is just how simple trading can be essentially. Like, you don't need something super complicated, especially to be trading prop firms. So during our session, we've got our fair value gap. We're below the VWAP, and then I will put my stop loss right above here. So we've got this minor swing high, we've got a swing high here, and we're also above our VWAP. So if it comes back down, again, can retest the VWAP, go into a little bit of a drawdown, and then continue to the downside. And that's kind of what I think could happen. And essentially what we're looking to do is target the previous daily low down here, which would be a good place to target. So I'll place my order, place my limit, and price has continued. I'm still going to leave this on. We're now tagged into the trade. We've got a reaction. As this hit 1R, if this is hit 1R, we can go break even, which it has. So we can now put our position to break even. So essentially this is risk free. And can this continue down? So we're taking out for break even, and price just continue to the upside anyway. So that's absolutely fine. Again, if you take a break even during New York, do you want to get during London, do you want to get involved in a trade again in New York? That's entirely up to you. So playing price forward again till the next day, 7 AM, new day VWAP. So like this here, right, you could get involved in this. So there is a fair value gap here. You wouldn't yet be tagged in, but this has been created outside of session, and I prefer them to be created inside session, just for the simple fact is when it's created inside session, that's when the volatility has entered into the market. And what you will notice is that a lot of the time when the volatility comes within session, that's normally where price continues to, you know, throughout the whole day, or at least throughout the whole session, where you can then catch, you know, a piece of the pie, take your profits, and then move on to the next day. So yeah, like I said, I do like my fair value gaps to be created during session. So again, we're above. This has been created during session. This is valid to take. But again, as I said before, we're now close to our previous day's high. So we might even get tagged into this because this is bearish. So we could get tagged in, could come up to the previous day's high, take out this previous day's high, and then reverse. But if you want to keep it mechanical, again, this is absolutely valid. You can get an entry on here, stop loss below here, and then I'll target a 1 to 2. So let's see if we can get tagged in. So we tagged in, we've got a nice reaction, very nice candle here. It's like a, you know, a hammer candle. A nice reaction to the VWAP, but then we're taken out for a -1, which is absolutely fine. So you're not getting involved in that. That is, you know, too big of a fair value gap there. So we can now move on to the next day, which is absolutely fine. So we've got a couple of losses, a couple of wins so far. Currently up 2%, around 2 weeks into the month. So this is looking like a good opportunity. So we've got our VWAP, we've broken below. And with this one, what you'll notice is that we've already broken below the previous daily low. So we've opened up here, traded up, traded down, broken below. We've stayed below the previous daily low for quite a long time with a consolidation. Then we've seen a nice impulse to the downside. So with me, this looks like a good opportunity to get involved in. Place my order there, and then my stop loss is going to go above the VWAP here and also above these 3 prominent swing highs. So I'll look to take this down to around 2R, and let's see what happens. So we tagged in. So this candle here, very, very aggressive candle. It's retested our VWAP, and then it looks like we can't go break even yet. The very next candle goes pretty much down to take profit, so now I'm going to go break even. And if this reversed now, this would be very unfortunate. And then we've hit take profit, which is very, very nice. So currently up 4%. If you are risking 2%, you would have passed a phase 1 already within the first 2 weeks of January 2025. And then we can play price forward onto the next day. We've took our winner for the day, we took our piece of the pie, and then we can move on to the next. So 7 AM the next day, I'm going to remove the previous day VWAP, add the new one, and let's see where we can go from here. So no fair value gaps at the minute. We're above the daily VWAP though, so we could be looking for longs, but nothing setting up as of yet. So we've got a fair value gap here, right? We've retested the VWAP. This has been created outside of session. As you can see here, this is the 12:30 candle. I don't trade at 12:30. So we're now looking for a fresh fair value gap right here. So we've got a gap. Not something that I wanted to get involved in. And that is pretty much the trading day done, so we can then move on to the next. So we can remove this VWAP, add our new one. So we're above the VWAP, we've got a fair value gap. Entry here, and then stops below here. Looking to trade towards the upside. And with this trade here, as you can see, we've had some bullish price action for the past couple of days. So essentially, we're just looking for a continuation. And can we get tagged in to this trade? So we're tagged in. Nice reaction. Right, now, right, this is a little bit complicated, but I'll explain it while we're here. So this right here, right, we would be break even on this trade because we've got this bullish candle. So we come down to our entry, got tagged in. This bullish candle then came to the upside, and then this bearish candle opened here. Price then traded upwards to here, hitting our rule of a break even at 1R, and then the candle has came back down here and essentially come back down, hit our break even, and then closed here. So it's kind of a shame that you can't really do anything about that with backtesting software or on TradingView and things like that. But in the live market, you would have seen this print out, and this at one point, this candle here would have been a bullish candle. So you would have gone break even. And like I say, it's quite a shame that you can't really see this on backtesting software. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go break even on here and just see what happens. If this is a winner, this would not win in real life. So just keep that in mind where, whatever happens with this trade. So we got taken out for a break even on this anyway. This reaction is quite a nice reaction. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and see if we take profit. So yeah, so this trade would have been a take profit, but as I said before, with this, with our rule of 1R, we would have gone break even, and then we'd have been taken out in the same candle. The very next candles then continued up to take profit. So the break even rule is there just because the simple fact is there is a lot of trade volume on this. If you look back, 1, 2, 3, there's a lot of trades on this strategy at the moment. It's very, very basic at the moment as well. So there's a lot of trades, and essentially we're trying to minimize the drawdown. You don't want to be blowing up accounts because you're taking so many trades. So that's why the break-even rule is there. If you want to trade without a break-even rule, that's fine. But also keep in mind that your drawdown periods will be bigger. And, the break-even rule is there to essentially protect capital. But essentially this one right here would have been a 2% win. Playing price forward, as you can see, price has just rocketed to the upside. And on this specific day here, absolutely crazy day. If you were, sort of using a trail stop loss, you could have taken some massive profits from that. But obviously we're not, and that's absolutely fine. So moving on to the next day, let me just remove this VWAP. 2 weeks into the month, we're around 25 minutes into the video. So like I say, it's going to be a long video, but it might be beneficial for you guys to see this strategy. So new day VWAP, we're above it. We are in session now, so I'm going to put my order on this one. And again, one thing that I do want to mention is that we've got a fair value gap here. So price, could come back down here. So it could come back down here, could react from this. It could literally come down and just take out all of this. Or it could come to this most recent one and continue to the upside. So there is a few scenarios that could happen here. But like I said before, I don't trade with ones that are created around 6 AM. This is out of session for me, so it's not valid. This one, however, is valid. So I'm happy to take this one. And kind of see what happens with this trade. See if we get tagged in, see if it wins, see if it loses. and obviously whatever happens, we'll just take it on the chin. So price has continued away. We're now tagged in and then tagged out pretty much instantly, so that's a loss right there. And then we can move on to the next. So the next day, obviously we've taken a loss. Like I said before, I do like to move on to the next day. If I take a loss, if I take a win, just move on to the next. Don't want to be over trading, don't want to be taking unnecessary risk on my account. And then new day VWAP there. As there is a fair value gap here, which I am happy to get involved in. It's during session, and I'll put my stop loss below this swing low. So it's below this swing low, it's below the VWAP, and then I can look to take this to the upside to continue the bullish momentum. Place the order, limit on that, and we're now tagged in. Straight break even within the next candle. Absolutely beautiful trade. And then boom, take profit has been hit. So again, we're currently up 5% for the month so far. 17th of January, looking very, very good month. Obviously not every month is going to be like this, but we can go through and we can backtest it together and sort of see how this strategy gets on, as bare bones as it is. And then we can look to refine, you know, do we target more risk reward? Do we target less? You know, there's many different variables that we could add to this strategy to sort of make it better or worse, you know, over time. So nothing really to get involved in here. There is a fair value gap created outside of session, not valid. So putting price forward. And there's a massive gap here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play price forward and on to the next day, because price is probably just going to come down and fill this gap. So it's come down, filled the gap. We're outside of my session, outside of my trading day. Trading is done. On to 7 AM. New day VWAP. We're below it, so we're looking for shorts at the moment. We're now above. We've got a fair value gap here. So this meets all of the rules. The fair value gap is created during session. The only problem with this is, do you want your stop loss below there, or do you want your stop loss below there? With the amount of volatility, I would prefer my stop loss to be below there, but I'll probably just go, yeah, it's kind of a difficult one. Maybe you want to avoid this one, but for the sake of the video, I will enter it anyway. A lot of the time, like I say, price will come down, retest the VWAP and continue. But as we can see during Asia and London Open, the volatility within sort of these trades here has been quite high. So it's one that you might want to avoid in the real life market, just to sort of preserve your capital. So what we'll do is we'll go sort of 50% of this candle, just below 50% of this candle, and we'll look to target a 1 to 2. For me personally, I'm not really comfortable putting my stop loss just below this candle, because it's quite, you know, sort of volatile price action. So I'll put it around there, go for a 1 to 2, and we'll try to get involved in this one. So the trade has been set. We're tagged in. We're coming down. Price has continued up at the moment. Consolidation. Price is now moving on. Let's move this to 1R. So if we get to 1R, that'd be quite nice. So we're now at 1R. This can go break even. And price run on to take profit. Wow. So that did work out to be a nice trade. You know, I weren't too fond of putting my stop loss directly below this one, just for the simple fact is, look at the volatility. Look at the volatility here, right? We had this gap. We had price instantly come down to fill it. We then came back all the way back up. We came back down with this one big candle. We then came back up. We then came back down. We then get an impulse to the upside, you know, and then price could have just literally come all the way back down here. So, you know, that for me, that might be one that you want to avoid in the real life markets, which I probably might have done myself. but essentially it does fit the criteria for the strategy, and it did end up being a win in backtesting, which is very, very nice. So moving on to the next, around 7 a.m. New day VWAP, and then can we give, so there's a fair value gap here, fits the strategy. There is bullish momentum, as we can see. The momentum here, really bullish daily candle on the daily, and you know the likelihood of that continuing is pretty high. Like I said, the German DAX does like to trend. When it trends, it goes. So a 2-hour trade fits the criteria at the moment according to our rules. So we're tagged in according to FX replay. Nice. Would that have it 1R? So that would have hit 1R. So this trade would be break even. And then boom, take profit. Wow, what a month. So we're around 9% in profit, right? If you're risking 2%, you've passed a phase 1, you passed a phase 2, and you've potentially got yourself a payout all within sort of 3 weeks of January in 2025. What an absolutely brilliant month this is. 7 a.m. the next day, and you know, like I said before, every month is not going to be like this, especially with a strategy which has so little rules. The VWAP, fair value gap, so that's valid. We can look to enter here, but one thing that I will mention is obviously we'll put this down here, we'll do a 25-point stop and a 1 to 2. So with this here, right, as we can see, this candle has closed with barely no wick. So we might just get price continue to the upside. So it'd be interesting to see what happens here on this trade. So I've got a bearish candle, price continuing. And then I'll leave it on half 8. I'll leave this on just until we hit our profit. If we hit our TP without tagging us in, then I would have removed the order. But now what we've got is we've got a break below the VWAP. So this is sort of a complicated one. I've not got a rule around this yet. So if you set an order and it breaks below the VWAP before you tag in, are you going to keep this on? What we will do is, for the sake of the video, right, we will keep this trade on, and this is one rule that we can look at in the future. So if we have placed an order and it breaks below the VWAP before being tagged in, like in this sense, do we then cancel or do we leave the order? So we'll leave this order on now in this backtesting video, just to see what happens. But this is one rule that I'll note down, and I'll put this sort of in my notes to look at in the future to see what happens and see if this is a rule which over time will benefit the strategy if we remove the order, if it breaks down below the VWAP, which pretty much would make sense, to be honest, because if it's below the VWAP, chances are it's then going to continue to the downside. So we tagged in, reaction. Would this be 1R? Looks like it. So this would be 1R now. This would be a break-even trade. And then it's hit take profit. So, you know, in this sense, it did work. It broke back below the VWAP and then continued to the upside, but it's probably not always going to happen like that. So this is one thing that I'm going to look at over time and just see if, you know, if it's beneficial to remove the order or not. So that's one rule that we can look at in the future when we look at our total results. So moving on to the next day, 23rd of January, very nice month. And again, you could have started a new challenge, or you could have even secured a second payout if obviously it had been paid out and you got your account back in time. 7 a.m. new day VWAP. Let me just move this one. Fair value gap. So there is one right here. It's a small one, but it's still valid. We can look to get involved on this, and then I will put my stop loss above this swing high. and I will look to target to R. Obviously, if you're trading mechanically, like you can just literally hit every single trade. If you're adding discretion and intuition, what you might now look at is that we've traded above the previous daily high. We've had a break to the downside. You can then sort of see that break a structure, return to the fair value gap, continue to the downside. That's sort of like ICT sort of trading. But if you just want to enter in this mechanically, you could look at getting involved. So I'll leave this until end of session. So we've still got a while yet. So we're now tagged in. Wow. So this would be not 1R yet. So it would now be 1R. And can we continue to take profit? Christ, this has really been a insane month. For such a simple strategy, this month has been crazy. So as you can see, we come up to near our stop loss. Didn't quite get taken out. Came back down, got to our break-even level, and then we've continued. So let's continue on to the next day. So this would be, obviously this is Friday. This would now be the last couple of days of January. And then we can sort of see where we've gone from there. So 7 AM. We've got a gap here, so I would be favouring to go long. But yeah, let's see what happens. So we're way below the daily VWAP. This right here has not been created during session. And this has, but we're still below. Yeah, so obviously we got a fair value gap here, right? But what you will notice is that price action was still below the VWAP. So we was favouring shorts in that position. So that right there was invalid. Fair value gap here, not created during session. There's one here, created during session. So we can now look to get involved in this one. It's not looking too great in terms of price action, but you know, again, if you're trading this mechanically, it does fit the rules, and I need to really get my stop below the VWAP here, because as we can see, there's no sort of swing low that we can put it under, which the next swing low is all the way down here, and the obviously fair value gap candle, you could put it below this one, but that's very, very small then, and then the VWAP is all the way down here. So I would like to get it below the VWAP if possible. And this is when a little bit of discretion comes in when you look to getting involved in this, because this is quite risky with the overall swing low being all the way down there. But we'll get involved in this anyway. It fits the criteria, and then we will look to get involved. Tagged in, break even. This can't be a win, surely. Wow, take profit. That's crazy. But yeah, even if you put your stop loss below this, you'd have still been in this trade. You'd have just did take profit way sooner. As you can see, that would have still been a win. Could have took 4% out of that for the position where I personally exited. But the stop loss under the VWAP is where I put my stop loss personally, and that's where the discretion lies. Do you want to, you know, sort of put it below a swing low? Do you want to put it below the fair value gap candle? Do you want to put it below the VWAP itself? That's all questions that you need to ask yourself when it comes to a stop loss. But this month has been insane. So moving on to Tuesday now, last couple of days of the month of January. New day VWAP. Fair value gap here, very small inside session though, so we'll take this trade. And then stop loss here, I will put my stop below the VWAP and this swing low. Target a 1 to 2. Can we continue this bullish momentum? Entered in, tagged into the trade, and then we've taken a stop loss. So that's the first stop loss we've had in, you know, God knows how long. So that's a win, a win, a win, a win, a win. So, you know, we've had like 4, 5, maybe 5 or 6 trade win streak there, which you could have, you know, passed phase 1, a phase 2, and maybe even gotten a payout with those trades alone, which is absolutely insane. So the month of January, if you were trading January with these rules, it would have been a very fruitful month. You would have taken, you know, a couple of challenges, whatever, took a couple of payouts. Absolutely crazy with the rules that we've got on this strategy so far. So 7 a.m. It looks like we're going to be above the VWAP. So we are above the VWAP. And we are now in session. We've broken below. And nothing as of yet. Fair value gap here in session. So this is valid. We could take this. Yeah, so if we get tagged in the next candle, this is valid. I'll put my stop loss here below the VWAP. Like I said, if you want to put it below the swing low, that's absolutely fine. But it's quite big anyway, so I'll be happy to put it below the VWAP there. And then I will target a 1 to 2. And can we get tagged in? Right, so we're not tagged in. We're out of session. I would remove this, but we'll leave it there anyway, see what happens. And price just literally continues without us anyway. So that is, and then we're above the VWAP. There's a fair value gap here. That would have been valid as well. Yeah, so we would have got tagged on that anyway. It's unfortunate. Moving on to the next. So last couple of days of January, 7 a.m. New day VWAP. We're above it. Are we in session? Yes, we are. This is valid to take. Can we get a tag? Looks like a strong bullish move to the upside, so we might not get tagged in this. And again, it's one of those where it's so very close to previous daily high, so we could take previous daily high and then continue downwards. But we've got some bullish momentum here, so the likelihood of continuing up is much more likely. It looks like that would have tagged in. Oh, so we are tagged in. Wow, crazy. And then straight to take profit. Wow, that is insane. What a trade. So tagged in here. Boom, take profit within the next candle. And then we're now on to the next day. So this right here is the last day of January. What a month it's been. So new day VWAP. Are we inside session? Yes, we are. We've got a fair value gap here. We've got bullish momentum. Been trending bullish for quite some time. Stop below this swing low, below the VWAP, and target a 1 to 2. So let's see if we can get tagged in to this, and let's see if we can finish the month off strong. But this month has been absolutely crazy. Tagged in, break even, because we have it 1R. And then a break-even trade to end the month. Wow, what a month this month has been. As you can see, we are 16% up for this month. If you are risking 2%, this would have been an absolutely crazy month. And what you will notice is that a lot of the professional traders do make most of their profits within 3 to 4 months of the year. Some months may be negative, and some months may be around break even. So this month here would have set you up brilliantly for 2025. You could have passed a couple of challenges and got a few payouts from this, risking 2% on each trade or 1.5% if you're not wanting to risk 2%. But that is absolutely crazy. So let's go back now and we will look at the stats on FX Replay. So these right here are the stats, absolutely crazy stats for a 1 to 2 risk to reward strategy. We've got a P&L of 16,000. We've got a nice equity curve here at the moment. Very nice. We've got a 73.3% win rate, which is insane for a 1 to 2 strategy. We've got 11 wins, 4 losses, and 3 break evens. So 11 wins, 4 losses, as we said before. 2% win. And if we come down, we can see the times and everything like that. So 16% for January. What a crazy month. There's way more greens obviously than there is reds, and this month in particular has been insane. Like I've never seen a strategy with sort of very simple rules like this perform so well, but obviously it's over a small sample size. So over time, if you are interested and you want to see another backtesting session and you want to see sort of how this strategy progresses over the year, maybe we take 16% in January and maybe every single other month after this is negative. You don't even know. So we can go through this and we can backtest this together. And if you're interested, we can look at this and sort of try to refine this, add some more rules. Like I said, one of the rules that we can look at is if we impulse to the upside and we're looking to get involved, do we then remove the order? If price then dips below the VWAP and we're not tagged in yet, do we remove the order then? In the trade that we took on this backtesting session, I do believe that trade did win. But overall, that's one of the rules that we can look at, and that's one thing that we've seen when we've been backtesting together today, that we can look at, and something that we can look to refine. So yeah, if you want me to do any more backtesting sessions of this strategy to see how it performs over the months, February, March, and over the coming year, let me know in the comments. If you want to give this a backtest yourself, come back to me and let me know in the comments the results that you do get, and it will be interesting to see sort of the results at the end of the year. And if the results are bad or it does drop off significantly, can we add some rules to this to make this strategy a little bit better and make this a little bit more robust and be able to trade this strategy over time? So yeah, if you want me to do another video on backtesting this strategy, let me know in the comments, drop a like on the video, and if you've made it right to the end, you're an absolute legend, and thank you very much for watching.